Okay, hold on. Before any of you question why exactly I've made this video, and why it's on a different topic of Monster Hunter, I guess, allow me to explain myself. This video was made and meant for my school project. But, despite it being meant and made for my school project, I would still like to present this with you all because, well, who even talks about this kind of stuff in Monster Hunter? When bringing up Monster Hunter, people normally talk about their favorite monsters, least favorite BGM, areas, elder dragons, blah blah blah, you get the gist. But never before have I heard of people talking not just about the monsters, but the biology and ancestry behind them. Not only do I think that this would be an interesting topic to talk about, especially in Monster Hunter, but I also think that this would help give a little bit more insight into the monster world and the creatures that inhabit it. As such, I thought it was the perfect topic to choose from when doing my school project. So, despite it being meant and made for a school project, I would still like to view it all with you guys. Anyway, getting back on track. The monsters. From the small raptor-like Jaggy and drones to the gargantuan Colossus Dalmadur, Monster Hunter sure has quite a wide variety of monsters, huh? But while these monsters may live in a fantasy-esque world, with hunters wielding great swords bigger than their entire body, certain monsters are, how should I put this, a bit strange. Even some of the simpler monsters out there may have some mysteries to them, and some things that a lot of casual fans wouldn't understand. However, what if I told you that there is a legitimate explanation to some of these monsters, regardless of how strange and unorthodox they are? An explanation that is very close to our reality. What if I told you that all of these strange monsters can be explained through ancestry and evolution? Because in doing the research for this topic, I've discovered not only information, but concept art relating to and even providing evidence for this video. So, let's take a dive into the Monster Hunter world and see what exactly happened in the past. So before we dive into the actual monsters' ancestry and all that jazz, we need to understand how these monsters are classified first. Like real-world biology, Monster Hunter has its own series of classifications and groups for the various creatures that inhabit the world, such as order, suborder, infraorder, superfamily, and family. But these classifications can also be a little bit confusing at times, so we need to thoroughly explain these classifications. First, let's start off the widest and most well-known group of monsters in the series, the Flying Wyverns. In-game, Flying Wyverns are split into two camps. True Flying Wyverns, which share a close similarity with real-world dragons and drakes, having two back legs, wings, and a tail, and mostly generally consist of the Rathalos design, and pseudo-wyverns, who have developed forearms that not only act as arms or legs, but also serve the purpose of wings. Though pseudo-wyverns in games such as Diablos have not been known to fly for much compared to their true brethren. Then there are the Leviathans, monsters who have adapted to an aquatic lifestyle and prefer to live underwater compared to land. There are exceptions to this. Monsters like Akantor, Mizutsune, and Nibblesnarf cannot go in water. Rather, Leviathans like Akantor and Nibblesnarf swim in lava, or ice if it's the subspecies, or sand. But then there are the oddballs of the monster world, ones so strange that they really don't fit into any other classification. The Elder Dragons, who, instead of being classified based on anatomy and biology, are put into this category for the simple fact that they don't fit into any other category, and are extremely powerful. And this is only the few of the classifications I can list here. There are much, and I do mean much more classifications that I can list here. So, after explaining all that, why are certain monsters in the category that they are? Why are monsters like Akantor, Eucanos, and Obatarasu flying wyverns if they are clearly so powerful to the point that they can all be classified as elder dragons? What caused the split in the flying wyvern category? And why do monsters who share so many similarities have different environments and or abilities? Simple. Evolution. The process of change and adaptation in a species over the course of millions of years. And this whole thing can be proven thanks to official Monster Hunter concept art that has been confirmed to be canon. So first, let's cover the biggest elephant in the room. How can Akantor and his family be classified as flying wyverns, monsters who are known for having wings or wing arms, when they just don't have any? Shouldn't they be classified as elder dragons, or heck, even brute wyverns just due to their sheer raw strength? Appearances can be deceiving, my friend. While true, Akantor and Nukenlos don't have any physical wings, that doesn't mean that they don't have trace bits of wings left over. This whole debate can be proven with the fact of vestigial structures, bones or body parts that are no longer useful or serve any purpose to the body after years of evolution. For example, the tailbone, a remnant left over from our ancestors that after so many years of evolution have no purpose in the body and are just there as a sort of record of our past. And just like us, Akantor also has these vestigial structures left over in its forearms, which can be somewhat physically seen in the form of spikes on the Akantor's forearms. This can be proven even further with a piece of concept art that has been dubbed by fans as Wyvern Rex. As the name suggests, the Wyvern Rex has been canonically confirmed as the official ancestor of not only Tigrex, but also of all flying wyverns. It wasn't capable of flying due to its smaller wings, but like Tigrex, it and Wyvern Rex do share similar spines. But we can go even further with this point and potentially come up with an ancestral tree thanks to another piece of concept art, the Shiru Ryusu, which has been confirmed to be the extinct relative of Rathalos and is a further evolved Wyvern Rex that's split from Tigrex. Something interesting of note to point out here is the way it is posed in this picture. While it may not seem like that much, it is suggested that thanks to this pose and the picture we have of it, we can tell that the way in which it walked was very similar to the Kushala Daora, which, for those of you who don't know, is an elder dragon, making a connection that not only Shiru Ryusu was an apex predator, but also that all flying wyverns, pseudo or otherwise, are connected somewhat to elder dragons thanks to the Kushala connection. Then further down the line we see the next ancestor of the flying wyverns, the Canopus, which is an extinct relative of the Rathian and Rathalos that was said to have a strong, heavy-shelled body and was able to walk on all fours, exactly like the Tigrex. From this information we have learned, we can craft what could be a potential ancestry tree for a flying wyvern family, especially and specifically Akantor and Tigrex. At the beginning, we have no idea what Wyvern Rex's ancestor is, though we will have to assume it came from somewhere. From then onwards, the Wyvern Rex begins to evolve into the Tigrex, which then evolves later down the line into two different branches. The first one is where the Shiru Ryusu split off from Tigrex, and the other one, where the Akantor brethren splits from Tigrex and evolves without the need of wings. In the Shiru line, yet another split between the Kushala family of elder dragons and the Canopus. Finally, the Canopus evolves into the Rathalos or Rathian, depending on which one you prefer to use. Not only does this prove that Akantor and the other two have vestigial structures, but also explains why Rathalos and Tigrex are in the same family, even though their wings are built differently. And that's because of homologous structures, bones or organs that appear in different animals that underlie a common ancestor, which, looking at the tree we've made, seems to make a lot of sense. Both Tigrex and Rathalos derive from the same ancestor, but one evolved into a line that preferred using their wings, and another that preferred to stick to the ground and hunt on land, causing the Akantor and his brethren to lose the use of their wings since it really wasn't necessary for any function anymore. But even though it seems like all dragons in the Monster series may share a connection with Wyvern Rex, you would be wrong with that. In fact, some monsters like the Megala family don't have any relation to Tigrex or Wyvern Rex, and yet can still use their wings as arms to stand or crush their foes underneath them. This is what's known as an analogous structure, which is a structure in nature that is found in many animals but doesn't come from the same evolutionary origin, like bats and birds for example. But another fact we haven't considered yet in this whole process is why. Why and how did these creatures change? Well, we'll tell you right after this intermission. And welcome back. Sorry to keep you waiting, but now we are ready to talk more about evolution and ancestry in Monster. So, as I was saying from last time, Ah, here it is. Another factor to consider about evolution, though, is why they evolved in the first place. Especially in a game like Monster, which has an entire world full of creatures with unique ecologies and lifestyles, it is important to understand why they are what they are. Many factors can cause a species to evolve, though a lot of them seem to come from under the cause of the bottleneck effect. The bottleneck effect is defined as either a population bottleneck or a genetic bottleneck that sharply reduces the size of a population. Most commonly, either from environmental factors like droughts or earthquakes to human factors such as genocide. And wouldn't you know it, one such monster just so happens to fit perfectly into this example, the Gorea Dumosu. In-game, it is referred to as an origin species, which is a monster that has inherited much more from their ancestors than other monsters. It has a close relation to monsters like Basarios, Gravios, Monobolos, and the Verusa Baruso, which it is actually directly responsible for. You see, a long time ago in the desert of the monster world, Gorea Dumosu's ancestors were facing extinction due to the severe drought that was draining them of their natural oases. Because of the lack of water above ground, the ancestors were forced to flee underground in search of lakes to feed off of in order to survive. Over the course of thousands of years, they began to gradually evolve to be more adapted to intaking high amounts of underground lake water. However, not all the ancestors decide to go underground. Some instead decide to venture off to find a new home in the harsh volcano. Like with Gorea Dumosu, Verusa Barusa's ancestors evolved over the course of time with a harsh new environment and grew to like a particular cactus found only in the volcano, which just so happens to be the species' favorite food. Because of this cactus, Verusa Barusa refuses to return to the desert. This entire change that the species' ancestors went through is what is known as speciation, where genetically distinct species evolve usually as a result of isolation from the main population, which could help explain why Verusa looks so much more different than Gorea. This split in the family tree between these two can be seen as a result of the founder effect, which, to use complicated biology definitions, is the effect on the gene pool that happens when a new isolated population is found by a small number of individuals possessing limited genetic variation to the larger population that they migrated from. Or, to put the founder effect in simpler terms, it is when a smaller isolated population is founded by a small number of individuals with little gene variation than that of the original population they came from. Does that make sense? I bet it doesn't. Another explanation that could be the reason as to why the Verusa Barusa doesn't move is because of natural selection. By moving from the desert to a harsher climate like the volcano and preying upon this cactus, Verusa's ancestors have adapted to the harsher climate via natural selection, and as such has changed the physical appearance in the Verusa species. And because both Verusa and Goredo came from the same common ancestor, we can assume that Goredo went through natural selection too, due to having to retreat to the desert underground for lakes as a source of water. As the years passed on, Garuda and Verusa's ancestors began to settle down and repopulate, allowing them to pass on their traits to their offspring by descent with modification. The more adapted the creature is to the environment and the monsters that live there, the better the creature's biological fitness will be. With Verusa, for example, by adapting to the harsh, hot nature of the volcano and to the special cactus that grows there, Verusa's species and its offspring will have a better adaptation factor to these types of environments. They will have a much higher biological fitness to reach reproductive maturity than if the Goredo were to try and live in the volcano. Man, I guess you could say that they were really horny. Oh, come on! That joke was funny! In some ways, this can also be applied to the Akantor family. Over time, some Akantor or a close ancestor of it decide to find a new home in the desert and icy mountains, and, as a result, adapted specific traits to help survive these new environments, such as Eucanos' shovel chin, despite how ridiculous this may all seem, and whatever that cannon vein on Autobot Tarasu's back is meant for. Look, the point is, thanks to these changes, the monster's ancestors were able to make the adaptations necessary in order to survive. bringing in new creatures as a result. Though, despite all the talk we've had about how species change as a result, we still haven't covered a very strange way to change. Hit it, other me! Oh wow, what a great transition. Thanks, Monarch of Dragons, I'll take it from here. Oh gosh, that voice sucked. Okay, never let me do that again, please. Anyways, as the other me was saying, changes most commonly happen through factors in the environment or through challenges that the species makes. Though sometimes, whether natural or not, strange changes can occur within a species to the point where subspecies can be made. Case in point, the azure Rathalos. Instead of being a different species entirely from the Rathalos, the azure is instead the result of a genetic mutation, which, to use biological definitions yet again, this is fun. It is when a change in the genetic makeup of an organism creates changes, whether small or large, to an organism's physical appearance. While that may all seem far-fetched and stuff, the science and plausibility behind it is actually very much true. Mutations in the wild happen all the time, whether it be from a nuclear fallout or from nature. Mutations do happen. In nature, most commonly in the form of, for example, snakes growing 2 heads, as well as various human genetic diseases, such as achondroplasia, split hand or split foot malformation, and much more. Anyways, because of this genetic color alteration due to its ancestor, azure Rathaloses have stronger elemental resistances and are physically stronger. They are also known to be masters of the air, even more so than the regular Rathalos. Some individuals among the azure family are even known to have a more developed flame sac, allowing them to shoot stronger fireballs that blaze with a reddish tint more rapidly, more developed spikes along the back, and more tan wings rather than the normal green of the standard azure. Man, out of all the things I've said, that was the shortest. I'm actually surprised by how short that was. But oh boy, that was a doozy. This was kind of a strange topic for me to cover about Monster, wasn't it? But that's what made this video so interesting and cool for me to do, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Even though it may have been a little definition and science heavy for some of you, I hope you guys still enjoyed it. And if you guys want to see me do more of this kind of stuff in the future, then please let me know. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, anything to help support my channel. It really means a lot, and I hope that at least some of you learned something new. Have a fantastic day or night, wherever you live. Peace.